sacks. 3 unblocked sacks. It's time to drop your nuts. We have a penalty on 3rd and 100 that gives them a new set of downs. How do you want to look? Poor little old me or check whoop ass? Get your hands up. Get ready to go. Ready, break? Now get with your coaches.
What's going on? It's your boy Hatter from the FFL. We got my good friend, my mentor, everything. The one and only Coach G-Dub in the building. What's going on?
How you doing, my friend? This is good. I hope everything's going well out that way. It's snowing here in Cleveland.
Hey, it's trying to stay warm. You know how it is.
Yep.
How Coach. You know how the DC news anchors be like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be a blizzard and nothing happens." Right? They be just talking out there behind because they got nothing to talk about. But hey,
no doubt,
it's something. It's something outside. But obviously everything's going well. We're definitely wrong with a lot of picks last week.
Yeah, I guess we were.
But we'll get to that. But you was on CBS Sports radio show 2 hours before, right?
Yeah.
And you was spitting some fire, but hey, you wasn't telling the real deal because you was trying to save it for the FFL.
I was going to save it to here, tonight right here, so everybody can hear.
That's it, exactly. And that's why you're a real one, and that's why you my guy, man. So listen, we're gonna start off with we got to start with the Commanders, man. I mean, it's only right. I'm wearing the jersey. And, it's funny how you chuckle when I said we're going to talk about the Commanders because it's just a joke, right? It is a joke. It is what it is. The real fans know when we talk Commanders or when everyone speaks Commanders, it's a joke, right?
And I think I've told you before, it might have been on this telecast here, I could have stayed as the head coach, but I wouldn't answer to the way that Dan wanted everything aligned and all that kind of stuff. And he's a good friend of mine. But if I'm going to be the head coach, the final say comes back to me, and I'll approve it through the owner and all that kind of stuff. But everybody else get out of the way so we can win.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, what I think, right, it's going to happen is they obviously need to get the right piece to the puzzle. And obviously that's going to be the head coach, right? GM comes in, he gets his interview done. I'm sure you saw it. What do you think about his intentions? You know the guy.
I think Adam Peters is a great hire. I really do. And I do like the way he has learned this game at this level. He's had to come up from the bottom in the areas he was at and work his way all the way up to this position. So he has seen, he has heard, he has done, he has experienced every aspect of what it takes to be right in this league. And I think it was a great hire with Adam. And now the next step will be getting the head coach that is in sync with him. And you have to be in sync together. You can't be going off different directions with each other and everything, but it just doesn't win when you're in the profession. It's at the top of the world at what you do.
Exactly. No, exactly. I mean, it's a staple, right? Coaches is a staple. The staple is broken, it's going to end up, breaking off. And
Agreed.
that's what has been going on for the last. I'm not even gonna say it. I mean, since Joe Gibbs. After Joe Gibbs, it was just all
Joe and I left the same time, and that
exactly.
was, after the 2007 season, we both left together, and it's been kind of, tough to get through.
Right. And, obviously, we're not going to get into depth with Gruden coming in and Jim Zorn, no one taking them seriously, we already know what went down with all those coaches there. But this coach who comes in or will come in needs to be the one, right? He just has to be the one. I mean, it's, the people are coming to a point where they just, you're going to these games, these Commander games, and most of the fans are, the opposite team, right? And people are posting online saying, hey, man, all the seats are full. But the real fans know the real deal and how and why and who it contains of it being full, you know?
I think you're hitting a home run on what you're seeing, and if you're taking a look out there to see what the price to get a ticket for the Detroit game against Tampa in the playoffs for the first time in 32 years, they got it right. Dan Campbell, I had a chance to coach him. I've had a chance to know him. There are guys on that staff that I have coached. Brad Holm, the GM, I have worked with. I know what they finally did to get everybody in sync. You know, that is what, again, the Washington team, don't tell me that they won't be the same way. And it does reflect on your fan base when they see and everybody sees other jerseys sitting in the stands and it's not the home team. By gosh, you won't see much of that this weekend when you go to Detroit.
I agree. I totally agree on that. I totally agree. Coach, I know you got some people that you think that might be one of the ones that the commander will hire as a coach. Um, I had one guy in mind, and just because of the connection, I would say,
Jim, I think
Jim.
Jim
Yeah,
Harbaugh, he and I go way back, and John, his brother, he and I go way back, and yeah, and I think, and again, I said I don't think you need to discount Eric Bieniemy that's there, and I do believe one of the fancier picks out there, and he's done a great job with Dan Campbell and everybody at Detroit is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and but I think Ben's probably a top pick. Jim, Jim Harbaugh, they're all, they're trying to get it all worked together, and we'll see how it goes.
right. I mean, speaking of Jim, the thing is, right? You were speaking of EB. The first year he comes in, obviously has Sam. He just doesn't have that protection, right? So you can't really see that EB potential. We see what he was trying to do with one of these, expanding the plays and stuff during the season, right?
Yep.
But record-wise, it wasn't showing much. So I definitely don't think EB is in line, with the previous season, how the offense was to be for him to be a coach just yet. Um, Greg, coach, who do you think could be the next Commanders coach?
And I think we've just talked about it. I think Ben Johnson's their first pick, but be careful. They interview Jim Harbaugh. They're going to want him.
I believe the same thing. And do you think, Commanders are gonna, you know, do the same BS they do every year and move away from that second overall and just do the same old bozo picks?
I would say no to start off with, but it's still way early yet because people will be shocked especially about a week ahead of the draft when all these different things and offers come up and down the table behind the scenes on what's going on and communicating with the scouting department, the GM and the head coach, all that stuff's going on. You prepare ahead of time, but the real big offers start coming in about 10 days ahead of the draft, and you never know. But they need those picks to keep those picks and get the right people.
I definitely agree. No, I mean I don't think they will do something with the second overall this time, right? But obviously, if second overall, who do you think could be possibly the guy they might draft?
I still think, again, until you get a quarterback in this league that can compete at a high level and is coached, okay, that he has to be a part of the protection. It's not just offensive line, it's the quarterback getting the effing ball out of his hand and staying on time and making those offensive linemen even better because they understand about how redirection helps the protection because my buddy here in the background is getting rid of the ball. And you got to be able to do that. And there's some really good quarterback picks out there to see how they fall.
Definitely. And I mean, I know it's going to be a quarterback, and you already know who it will be, uh, you know, but I don't think he's a right choice, coach. I mean, you know who I'm talking about. I just don't think just because of the DC connection. right? Him coming in, and I just don't like the way he kind of represents himself. What do you think about him?
And I'm not going to disagree with you. That's why we can't say that that pick is going to stay with the quarterback position, because there are going to be some free agents out there that they're going to go after too. And now when those free agents get signed and get an opportunity to be signed there because the new owner is not afraid to spend money, then now we can start looking at maybe manipulating that pick to improve the team.
Exactly. Let's go back to last weekend. We was
Mm-hmm.
wrong about the Cowboys and the Eagles, man. You know, we. I mean, I'll take that back. We got that one right. We know the Bucks was
I was
gonna
say
win.
you picked the Eagles, I picked the Bucs.
No, no, no. We both picked the Bucks.
Okay,
We
good.
both picked the Bucks. But obviously the Packers was hella surprising. Now, what do you think went wrong in that game? I mean, look, I was happy.
Yep.
I was happy as hell. I know you was
Yep.
laughing too.
I
You know,
was.
in your household. But what went down in that
There's
game?
no
Did you
doubt.
think?
I'm gonna tell you right now, defensively, and Dan Quinn's a heck of a coach. I know I've known him for a while, but I have no idea why he decided to stay little on the packages he was putting in. Green Bay played a lot of two tight end, a lot of three tight end packages, and Dan continued to match up with 5, 6, and 7 DBs on the ball yard to try to play the run game. You can't do that. You got little bitty guys who can't tackle me, and I got an artificial knee and can't run anymore. So what you got to be able to do is you got to be able to match up and make them have to throw the ball. The run game by the Packers was outstanding. And then the other thing, and Joe did a really good job on defense, because that defense has not been very good all year. And what he did is that, especially in the two picks that Prescott had, is that he was rolling coverage or doing coverage disguises and then moving to a different coverage post snap, waiting till the ball was being snapped. And Dak has really done a great job of protecting the ball all year long. But those two picks and a pick six on the board is very hard to overcome in playoffs. And then once they jump to a big lead, they just, let them do whatever they want to do. As long as you manage the clock, they can't catch up. And I really do think that Matt did a very good job, LaFleur, of how he managed the game. And they had a very good plan on how they attacked the Dallas defense.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, Love came in there, and he already obviously, Dallas, they had this thing where they always choke in the playoffs. You know how it
Yep.
is, Coach. And, they was kind of underestimating them. It's just like, how, our commander used to do back in the days, and maybe sometimes till this day. We do good against the good teams and do bad against the bad teams, right? I'm sure you remember when,
Yep. I know.
Detroit. I remember when when Detroit went 0-15 and they beat us. Remember
Yep.
in
Yep.
2000, around 2006 or 7.
Yep, I know that, and that was when I wasn't there, but I know that has happened before in the past, and we've got to make sure, and you got to make sure you underestimate nobody in the NFL. They can rise up and they can beat you, and they did, and I thought Green Bay did a great job with that, and I do believe that the Cowboys underestimated that. I do believe that.
Now, what do you think about Dak? And do you really think he's the guy, man? Because it's been too many damn times, right, that this
Mm-hmm.
happened. And I'm happy. I'm sure you're happy. But do you just think he's a guy? What do you think Cowboys is really missing beside, obviously, their horrible secondary and defense, beside Bland? But what do you think is going on?
I've known Dak since he was drafted, and we practiced against him quite a bit when he was young. And I was at the Rams, and out in LA, and all that kind of stuff was going on when we moved out there from St. Louis. And I've known of him, and I've watched him grow. I believe that Mike McCarthy has done a fantastic job of adjusting what he does on offense to the strengths of Dak. He has improved a ton this year. And unfortunately, in the playoff game, he had those two giveaways. But prior to that, he had drastically restricted that. And Mike has done a really good job of adapting to that. The next step Okay, the next step that he's got to take now is he's got to do that same type of performance in playoff games. But I do believe that he can win it. And the defense has to stand up and help him. The special teams have to stand up and help him. And then the protection has to stand up and help him. And he's got to protect the football.
I agree. I mean, let's see what they do and come up with next year. I guarantee you, though, being coach, that next year they're going to end up going to the playoffs. But, the script for them is just bad, man.
Well, a long time ago, Bud Adams, when he owned the Oilers, basically he had gave us a mandate when Jeff Fisher and us were together, is that and we moved to Tennessee, that playoffs are done. Okay. And basically he put it down and hammered it and said what it was. And we went off and, got into playoffs, several years there in a row and went to the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff but that mandate is there. And Jerry Jones will have mandated that. And I don't care what has happened here postseason, but you will be able to see that next year. They've got to win in the playoffs.
Thanks for the insight. Now we're going to move over to the Birds that got their wings cut off past weekend, right? Your former guy, I know you was happy. Mr. Baker Mayfield, man. He went out there and he started throwing, you must have really choked him out in the locker room, coach. I mean, he came out and started slinging dots back to back. And, the Eagles coming out talking about, all these excuses, coach. We've been hearing it for years. Oh, man, that hurts is a hurt. Or, they're always trying to find something, right? They're always trying to find something in the anthole, you know what I mean? They always do it every year.
And I love the fact of all of a sudden they thought that they were going to change a few different styles of what they were playing, and they hadn't shown on some all-out blitz postures, and Baker roasted them. Baker threw some darts. Baker blocked people that whatever was called in the protection, they didn't have enough people to do it. So that's when I snatched Baker and got him up in my nose one time and said, hey, how we block that is you block it by getting rid of the ball. You know that we don't have enough protectors. They're bringing one more than we can block. So how we get that is get it out of your hand, get it out of your hand. And I love the fact that he was doing a great job with that. And it brought a big smile to my face when everybody else thought that they didn't have a chance. And all they did was win a game and win it convincingly.
I totally agree, Coach. And now with that said, we have to go through our picks for this upcoming playoff games.
Okay.
So here I go. I will pull it up. Here on our screen.
You got the right one this time, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely the right one.
I'm just kidding you.
I don't know. I mean, I can't really zoom in, but
I can see it.
You can see it. Okay,
yeah.
There we go. All right.
And that first game there with Kansas City at Buffalo, Kansas City, they'll be fine in cold weather. Here's what it's going to come down to, Josh Allen. Those two quarterbacks, Patrick and Josh, are at the very highest of quarterback performances right now in the National Football League. If Josh can protect the ball, if Josh understands what a great job Steve Spagnuolo is doing with that defense at the Chiefs this year, then they're going to have a chance. And then I tease everything, but Andy being at Philadelphia, he's played up at Buffalo when I was there too, as the head coach. There's going to be a lot of snowballs thrown in this game now. I'm telling you, the Buffalo Bills Mafia fans, they're going to get after it. I do believe that, the execution-wise, and if Buffalo can stop the run and then no turnovers, they got a chance. But if they can't, then Patrick Mahomes and that defense is going to win the game, and I have a slight edge right now going with Kansas City.
I mean, Coach, they're both teams that play in the snow, right? Last week, obviously, I picked Miami and you picked Kansas City.
Yep.
Obviously, you won that, right? And obviously Miami, they were a little bit, they were shivering over there in Kansas City, and you mentioned that, right?
Yep.
I mean, no matter what it is, Coach, professional athlete or whatnot, weather conditions matter,
Yep.
Coach, and it does, right?
Yep.
I feel like that had a big play of what happened last week. But now you're talking about two, dogs playing in the snow. They're used to it, right? And I
Yep.
think, I just think, I just think the way Josh Allen is mobile and just does more things with his feet, and trying to make something happen. You saw that 50-yarder touchdown last week.
Yeah.
I think the Bills, will still have an edge in this game, and I
And
think
I
they will
can't
have.
disagree with you either. I cannot disagree because it's a very close and tight game. And, I've been the head coach up there. I have great vision and feeling for Buffalo, but I grew up in Kansas City, and I've known Spags and Andy for a long time. The edge right there with their playoff experience is a little bit above and beyond the Buffalo coaching staff with experience. I think it's going to be a tight game. It'll be fun to discuss next week which one of us won that between you and me.
Definitely, for sure. Now let's come back to your former team that you coached, the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, they lost, and you actually and me, we both picked them. Flacco
Yep.
came out, and I guess
Yep.
he just showed his true colors. I mean, I'm not going to
Two
go in
pick
depth with that.
sixes.
Oh
Two
man, that was
pick
horrible.
sixes.
It's crazy,
Back
crazy.
to back.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I was shocked, and I was just like, okay, this was not the Flacco that was hyped up the last 4 or 5 weeks. Now we're coming. Obviously, Ryan's doing an amazing job. A defensive mind coach. Texas defense playing good. They're going at with Baltimore. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
And I think DeMarco's doing a really good job, and he did improve the run defense pretty significantly. But here's what I think. I think Baltimore has the edge in this game. I think Mike McDonald is going to have to, the defensive coordinator at the Ravens is going to have to do some of that pre-snap, post-snap changing, the coverage ideas. And that's the number one thing. I think CJ's been an unbelievable rookie quarterback, maybe the best ever in the history of the league in a statistical, analytical format. He's been the least turnover quarterback in the National Football League this year. Baltimore must make him turn the ball over, and they must change on post-snap some of the things that they're doing coverage. I think they are going to have a physical presence. They are rested. They're going to come get some, just like my TV show and podcast show. They're going to
You had to add that in there.
I had to add that in there. And they're going to be able to run the football better than Cleveland could because they don't have as many injured offensive linemen as Cleveland. So I'm picking Baltimore.
I got you, Coach. Coach, I have to go with the underdogs now. I have to go with the underdogs.
Yep.
I mean, at least, we both voted against them last week, but I can't do that this time. I mean, I just feel like the Texans coming out hot the way, CJ's throwing the dots out there, Nico Collins, how everyone's performing, Jordan, the tight end, everyone's coming together. The defense playing, up to par. I think they might just pull this win maybe by just 3 points. But I think the Texans have an edge.
And I think this is great for the fans and everything listening to us. And I told you before, I've never had a tobacco product in my mouth, never had a drug, none of that kind of stuff. Never. I'm very seldom have a light beer or a margarita, but I'm a competitionaholic. So let's see who wins between me and you, next week when we pick the winners and the losers.
I'm telling you, and I know you're gonna brag about it. I know you're gonna chew me out once you get another one, another pick right next week.
Competitionaholic.
I'm telling you. Now, Coach, you're gonna go with your boy Baker again? Buccaneers versus the Lions. Wow, 2 teams. Who would have thought this was gonna ever happen? Right? What do you think is gonna happen in this one?
It's hard for me to pick against Baker. It really is. But Dan Campbell, Mark Brunell, Aaron Glenn, all the guys on that Detroit staff that I have strong connections to, and then Brad Holmes, the general manager, he and I work together. I think they've done just a phenomenal job. And the Detroit fans, I'm pulling for them. I want them to be able to experience this and get another playoff win. I think it's going to be a tight, close game because I think Todd Bowles is a heck of a coach at Tampa, and I think he's going to give Jared Goff some really tough blitz type of things. And Todd is one of the top blitz coaches in the National Football League, but I'm going to pick Detroit in a close win.
I got to say, the Lions Goff still kind of scares me here and there. Like he's just, I don't know how to say it, man. I don't know which quarterback to compare it to. All I can say is Goff, right? He
Mhm.
can play like a Hall of Fame quarterback one day, and then the second day, he can just play like a fourth stringer or something like that. It just, I don't know what it is with him. Obviously, he's on that luck boat right now.
Mhm.
But I just think I think Baker, man, I think he will come out and perform like how he's been doing, putting these amazing numbers up like he was doing this year. And I think the Buccaneers could just possibly win this game because Detroit's defense is pretty good, but once
They
again,
struggle in the secondary though.
the,
Detroit's defense struggles in the secondary.
and that's what I was gonna get to. Is this? Is you just never know. It could be just that game where their secondary is what it is, right? And
Well,
I
how
think
about
that could.
this? Right now, you're 3 for 3 picking against me, so that's okay. That's fine if that's how it's going to be. And what you said about Jared, I have a great memory of in practice his rookie year in training camp, late in training camp. I have to go over and pick up his spirits and sing after practice and pat him on the back and get him going because we had 6 interceptions in good versus good competition in a practice, in one single practice. And again, because of how we change everything post snap instead of pre snap, he's come a long way. Ben Johnson's done a really good job with that. Dan Campbell's done a really good job with that. But this is going to be a tough game. And I like the fact that we haven't agreed yet. So we'll see.
We'll see, and I think we could possibly disagree with this one, right?
I know. Let's see.
Green Bay Packers and 49ers.
It's going to be
Coach,
hard. It's going to be hard for me to pick. Okay. What last time you saw the favored playing at
oh,
home,
definitely.
Dallas, but they came straight out of it and they weren't ready to roll. I think Kyle Shanahan will do a really good job. They're rested. They can't wait to get after it. I do know that they do a little bit more post snap disguise and that kind of stuff. I love the fact of what Jordan Love has done. And I love the fact, and again, I got two coaches on that staff that I've worked with before too, that I helped pull for. But I think that San Francisco has a better overall football team, offense, defense, and special teams. And Kyle's had quite a while to plan, and you won't see them come out not ready to play. And so I'm picking the 49ers.
I We finally agree. I'm on you. I'm with you, Coach, on this one. Listen, will this be that game where we're like, okay, Jordan Love, okay, this was the guy that we thought he was, right?
Yep.
Will it be that game? Will that be that game? Listen, what he did so far, taking the Cowgirls out, hey, he did us a favor. He did himself a favor. But this could just be that game of true colors. I think it's just a little bit too early for Jordan Love to come out and go to the finals. I think they're gonna rush into some issues in this game, and I just think 49ers as well, like you, Coach, they're gonna win the game. So there we have it. We
I
got our
think
picks
that,
in.
yep, and I think that's great, and we agree. And it's always a great way to, finish up our show that we are agreeing. And you do a great job with what you're doing for the fans, and that's why I'll always be a friend and a help and another coach for you one of these days because of what you do for the fans.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate the kind words. Always appreciate you. And now we're have two good friends of mine in the lobby, and they're big time Jets fans,
Oh,
and
great!
you listen. They're kind of on the same boat as us as the Commanders, right?
Yep,
But
yep.
listen, they got some questions for you, Coach, and I'm gonna put them on. They're both of them are in the FFL. They're FFL players. So here we go. I'm gonna add the first guest in the lobby.
How's it going, Coach Williams?
Going very well. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. And what can I help you with?
Yeah, no, I just had a couple quick questions. Obviously, I'm a big Jets fan. I was at a lot of those 2019 games. That was a really good season you guys had on the defensive side of the ball. So I was just curious, how it was coaching that defense that year and Jamal Adams specifically. I was a big fan of his as well.
Well, you'll love this is that I think we ended up number 5 or 6 defense in the National
Mm-hmm.
Football League that year when we were struggling to make a first down on offense.
Yep.
But one of the things you'll see is that how I adapted and changed what all the other people have ever wanted Jamal to do.
Mm-hmm.
And what Jamal did, it was his top year ever. Played him like a hybrid, linebacker, and played him like a hybrid safety, and pressured him, changed him, and the things that I asked him to do in coverage were more zone specific, over the
Mm-hmm.
top, and helping in playing zone areas that way. Limited the man-to-man things we did, but he did do a good job in the man-to-man things I'm asking him to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a top man-to-man person, and I'll tell you this: as you see some of the things that they were doing in Seattle, he hasn't had as good a years there as he was with us. That was a fun team to coach, and Quentin Williams, we drafted him, and,
Mm-hmm.
and there's another Williams from a different mother, and I was like a dad to him.
Mm-hmm.
And loved how he was doing. Loved C.J. Mosley. He had a limited year.
I know.
But
It was so
that
shame he got
whole,
hurt in that first game.
yeah, he did. And that whole group of young men were begging to be coached.
Mm-hmm.
And I coached them hard and coached them well. And it was fun to be around them. It really was.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch that defense.
Remember that Cowboy game? We played the Cowboys that year and
Mm-hmm.
took it all the way down to a 24-22 game at the very end of the game, and had to play defense because our offense couldn't run the clock
Yep.
out and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep from snapping on everybody there on that side of the ball. And we ended up have to win. And they went for 2 to try to tie the game up, and that's what won the game for us, 24-22.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was a great year on defense that year. It was really exciting watching those young players like Williams, like the way he's balling out now, like you could tell, like, he's a homegrown talent is there, they play harder when they're homegrown. So just wanted to jump on, say hello, ask about the season a little bit.
And I
But
appreciate you
always been a
doing
fan of
that.
yours.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate you doing that. And how about this? Think about Quentin and Quincy being able, 2 brothers playing on the same team. I'm so proud and happy for
Mm-hmm.
both of them.
Yeah, and his brother is a baller. Like, I
Yes.
think he made All Pro, the second
Yep.
team, first team All Pro this year. I mean,
Yep.
that was a great signing. That was a great signing. I can't believe that he got away from Jacksonville.
Yep, that defensive staff is a really good staff there. There's a couple of guys that I've coached there before or coached with before, and
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of Robert, and they've got to fix the offense with the quarterbacks and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff, and hopefully Aaron can stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm thinking if he stays healthy, it'll be a scary team. It'll be a scary
agree.
team, and definitely appreciate you guys letting me on.
Okay, Connor, nice meeting you.
Yep, nice meeting you, Coach.
Mr. Rob, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, Coach?
Good, Rob. How are you doing, my man? I see you got your sock cap on.
Yeah, I'm out here in the cold. We just had, a little bit of snow. I was playing with the kids out in the snow. So just, pleasure to be on here with you and just asking you a few questions, if you don't mind.
You got it, buddy. We got 10 inches of snow here in Cleveland today, so it's supposed to snow more tomorrow.
There you go. No, I was just wondering, Coach, during that 19 season, like Connor had just talked about, I was just kind of curious as to like how it was, coaching alongside with Adam Gase. Was that something that was challenging? Did it have some, obviously towards the end of that season? I don't want to, talk about that call, but there's a lot going on, with the offense, like you pointed out earlier.
Yep, and you know what? It wasn't easy. Those are type of things you have to do, and you got to be able to manage different things all the time. I don't want to say on the air all the things I think about that and working with him and those kind of things, but it was tough. And I know that I can be intimidating at times to other people, but I've been an offensive coordinator, a quarterback coach, a special teams coordinator, a defensive coordinator, a defensive back coach, a linebacker coach, and I had the specialty of doing all the types of things. But sometimes, what we all have to do is check our ego at the door, and it's not about stats. It's not about all those things. It's about winning games and how you go about winning games with the personnel you have. And I think we did that defensively, and we'll everywhere I go, we will continue to do it that way. I will adjust to what the players can do, not to what I know. And that's how you got to go about doing it.
Exactly. And I love how you talked about earlier when you were talking about the Ravens and masking coverages and whatnot and what they need to do. And, just going back to, how you coach on that side of the ball, I think, with Houston, they need to do something very similar to how you kind of coach that side of the ball when it comes to defense.
Agreed, and I think DeMarco's done a very good job with what
Right.
they're doing in that area, I think. And it's, again, a lot of people have copied. They study the film that I do for the last 30 some years. And I really started this, I think it was about 2004 or 5 when I was at the Washington Redskins before they became the Commanders, when we started doing what's called this bogey mechanism. And the word bogey for me is an 11-man disguise pre-snap, and then boom, you've got to go into post-snap what you're playing. And the big thing is, whether it's a receiver, whether it's an offensive lineman, a tight end, a running back, and a quarterback, we make them make the decision after the ball snapped on what we're doing, and it gives us a little bit better opportunity on the defensive side of the ball to play with lesser players and talent-wise. But they got to be tough. I will not compromise their toughness, and I will not compromise their effort, but we will adjust to what they can physically and mentally do by how we go about playing the game.
Yeah, I feel like the NFL is lacking in some of that toughness that you're talking about.
It's hard for me to watch some of these games right now. I agree with you. It's hard for me to watch.
Some of the new rules, some of the new calls, it's really hard to watch. Like you said, we really miss that type of football that, you brought out to the field. So,
well, I appreciate that. And, the other thing, too, is everybody has to check their ego at the door, me included. And it's not about trying to show everybody how smart you are. It's about giving the players credit, okay, when they play hard and tough and physical that way. And when they mess up, the coach has to stand up and take the heat. And I've always done that and protected the players and protected the coaches that are on the staffs with me, okay, and then pass the credit to everybody else when we check whoop ass.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Coach. And it's an honor to talk to you, Coach, and you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, and you do too. Be safe.
Thank you.
Hey, those are great friends of yours now. They did a great job, and, they fit right in on the come get some.
Oh, yes, Coach, most definitely. I mean, they're obviously seen a lot of movies as Jets fans, same as like Commanders, and they know what they're talking about, and they know what the things are missing.
Very sharp, and like I said, they fit right into the come get some.
Oh, definitely, Coach, and I appreciate you coming on once again on our series on FFL, collabing with Come Get Some with Coach Gregg Williams, the one and only. We'll see you guys next week. This week we have 3 differences in the matchup picks. We'll see what's up next week. I know Coach G Dub, he's gonna chew me out. He's gonna let me know. He's gonna let me know if I missed something.
It's not. So, I might text you when the game gets over. We'll see.
I know you might just text me with a GIF or something. I'm telling you, and I'm ready. Hey, listen, I gotta give you props when you're right, Coach. It is what it is, right?
And I do the same thing whenever everybody else is right. Okay, I have no problem about passing the credit when somebody else is right.
Definitely, I appreciate you coming on. Everyone, go ahead and subscribe to Coach G Dub and his son's channel. Come and get some on YouTube. Link will be in the description. Enjoy the playoff games, guys. Take care and have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.